My name's Fred, and I've decided to tell you a little funny story about what happened to me about 45 years ago. There's plenty of bad stories floating around, but I want to tell you one that I thought was funny. I was raised in a small community. Most of the people there were farmers. I wasn't a farmer, but I was raised outside a lot of farms. We had a lot of ponds on these farms that we called just old mud ponds. They were ideal for bullfrogs and the cows to drink out of and things like this. So a couple of boys that lived beside of me, that's kind of like my brothers growing up, we found one of these ponds that was just full of goldfish. Had goldfish in there a foot long. They'd been in there for years. So that became our fishing hole because we didn't live close to a river or a creek or anything. So we fished the old mud pond. So we'd go back and we was always trying to figure out how many fish was in that pond. So one day we decided we was going to seine that old mud pond. I didn't know how to use a seine. It's real simple. If you don't know what a seine is, it's a net you hold like this and you go real fast through a creek or something and trap all the fish. So we got my daddy's seine and went down there, and I started out, was going to seine this pond. But now this pond was a little bit different than the creek. It was about 60 foot wide. I never thought to think I was going to trap the fish in my seine. I just thought they'd run into it. So I started out, and after I got out about 10 feet in that pond, I realized that I was sinking in the mud almost a foot deep. And I was trying to pull my feet up, and they were just like they was in suction cups. I couldn't hardly get them out of that mud. But every time I'd take a step, that mud would get deeper and deeper and deeper. So the time I got out in the middle of this pond, I was in mud so deep that I could not pull my legs up any further. I was plumb almost up to my thighs. And I was stuck. I couldn't go nowhere. I couldn't even turn around. Two buddies was with me, so one of them hollered and said, "Well, I'll come out there and get you." He said, "I'm a little lighter than you are." Well, he did not know that mud had no respect to person. It didn't matter how light she was. So when he started out to me, by the time he got close enough to reach me, he couldn't move either. So here we was, and now if we had fell over in that water, we was only in 2 foot of water, but we was in 3 foot of mud. So if we had lost our balance and fell over, we didn't have nothing to push up with. We'd probably just laid there and grounded in the old mud pond. So that left the smallest one of our trio left on the bank, and his name was Lulu. That was his nickname. That's a whole nother story. So we told Lulu, said, "You're going to have to go get somebody, get a rope, and get us out." So Lulu went up and he found a rope. And he tied the rope onto himself and on the tree and started out there. And it didn't take Lulu long to find out that mud still had no respect to person. It didn't matter how tall you was. Instead of going up to his thighs, he went up to his waist. So here we all three was out in the middle of the old mud pond, and we were doomed. It was starting to get dark. So luckily, one of our other friends, we seen him, he had some ponies. He was up on top of the ridge on the other side, so we hollered him, and we said, Danny, bring one of your ponies down here. Pull us out. Well, he brought the pony down there, and he got the rope, and he throwed it out. We tied the rope around our waist, and tied the rope around the pony's neck, and he went back there and smacked that pony. honey, I went plowing new ground right through the middle of that pond, and my body went down and cut a trench through that mud that you would not believe. It packed my breeches full of mud, my shirt full of mud. It jerked my brand new Converse tennis shoes was still standing right where I was standing. So it did all three of us the same way. We all had to be pulled out by the pony. And poor old Lulu, the pony took the long way around on him instead of going the short way across the pond. He went the long way. So all you could see was three big ditch lines cut through that pond before he pulled us out. And here we all three were standing there packed with mud with no shoes. So we started home. Now back in days, everybody had a nickname. And this is the day that I picked up my nickname. So we got about halfway home. I felt something in my britches. So I said, boys, I gotta stop just a minute. So I got over there and I was so scared, I just jerked my britches down right there in the middle of the road. And Lulu looked at me and hollered, "Tadpole, Tadpole." So that's where I got my nickname, Tadpole. My britches was full of tadpoles. I just woke the frogs. But we had a good time that day, and that's something to look back on. Thank God he was there and we didn't get hurt eventually, but you know, we was trying to be safe, but we got ourselves in a real dilemma. But we continued to go back and just fish ordinarily from that day on and forgot about trying to sing that old pond.